5 months ago, Tuesday, September 14th, the U.S. Senate confirmed Gary Gensler as chair of the Securities and Exchange Commission, historically one of the most important jobs in the federal government. Also Tuesday, Gensler testified before the Senate for the first time in this particular role, and of course, crypto was the hottest topic. Hello, I'm Crypto Casey, and before diving in, let's take a moment to revel in a series of comedic clips to get us in a happier, more relaxed state.
Okay, where I've asked for recommendations for free or green
viewing those comments right now.
Events and the like, and it's about the structuring of that market. Hope to do that, I'd say maybe by Q1.
Yes, that's right. We are dealing with a group of boomers who can't even silence their cell phones during a live testimony before lawmakers who are attempting to regulate cryptocurrency. No offense to boomers out there, I love all of y'all, but I think we can admit to the hilarity of the irony. Amazing. So without further ado, let's go through some of the highlights together in the order they transpired. Republican Senator Pat Toomey made some opening remarks worth exploring together.
Similarly, I've worried that you would favor the paternalistic push by some on the left to restrict investor freedom under the guise of protection while actually harming retail investors. Banning payment for order flow could very well have the effect of eliminating commission-free trading, which would be a grave disservice to average investors. And likewise, you've criticized mobile apps that make investing easy and fun as, quote, gamification, end quote. But in my view, delivering a product that customers like isn't a bad thing. And I worry that you're attempting to fix problems that don't exist today. Today is the best time ever to be a retail investor in the United States of America.
So far, I'm sure most of us agree that the SEC trying to restrict retail investing activity under the guise of protection is simply not the solution to whatever problems actually exist, and ones that they purport to exist but are not actually substantial enough to warrant blanket restrictions. And without getting too much into the payment for order flow business, basically, instead of charging investors trading fees per transaction, because we all know there is no such thing as free lunch in finance, behind the scenes there is a kickback system. So at the end of the day, a fee of sorts is baked into the price we pay for the stock. So yeah, not ideal. However, I believe most retail investors in the market got into the market and are staying in the market that otherwise would have never gotten in or would have never stayed in, are here because psychologically, no trading fees and the inability to see what is baked into the price looks favorable and nice, so to speak. Moving on.
Now, despite decades of rapidly growing numbers of retail investors participating in stock market gains and enjoying more product opportunities at lower costs, some of my colleagues suggest that the markets are somehow rigged against retail investors. I'd like to hear how it is rigged. Don't retail investors receive dividends like institutional investors? Aren't retail investors entitled to best execution like institutional investors? Don't the value of retail investors' shares and those of institutional investors both increase when a stock price goes up? In my view, the SEC's job is not to make retail investing more expensive or unpleasant or difficult. In America, adults investing their own money should be free to decide how to do so.
Okay, this guy acting appalled at the notion of markets being rigged against retail investors is absolutely delusional, considering the GameStop fiasco where exchanges halted retail trading activity and basically allowed institutional investors to reposition their shorts and a myriad of other things we all know and don't really have any power to combat at this time. So yeah, vast disagreement of Toomey's view in that regard, but do agree that adult retail investors should be allowed to invest as they see fit without needless restrictions. Next clip.
Let me turn to cryptocurrency, which together with the blockchain technologies, this is a very, very important and very promising new technology. As you know, cryptocurrencies are actively traded on many platforms. A really important question is whether a cryptocurrency is a security for regulatory purposes under the Howey or some other test. Now, based on your public statements, it's pretty clear that you believe that some are securities, but others are not. So I'm frustrated by the lack of helpful SEC public guidance explaining how you make this distinction. What makes some of them securities while others are not securities? Now, I understand that the SEC staff will privately provide feedback and analysis on whether a cryptocurrency is a security, but why is this analysis private? Why not publicly announce what characteristics make a cryptocurrency a security or not a security? In other words, how do you apply Howey and the Reeves tests to these new products? Why wait to make the SEC's views known only when it swoops in with an enforcement action, in some cases years after the product was launched? This is regulation by enforcement, and it's very objectionable. And I'm concerned it can stifle domestic innovation.
Amen, fam. Where is the clarity? Why the secrecy? Why are they choosing to regulate by enforcement, and in some instances, clawing back at projects like Ripple or XRP that have been operating for several years without issue? So Toomey recognizes how promising blockchain technology and cryptocurrency is, and I agree that the SEC is acting and may continue to act in ways that will greatly stifle innovation in the United States. Okay, next, Gensler takes the floor to make some opening remarks. So let's jump to his first mention of crypto, which I found quite interesting.
Second is a rapid change in technology. We're living in a transformational time, perhaps as transformational as the internet itself. Now, I expect some members might ask a question or two about crypto, but actually the first thing I just want to mention is artificial intelligence. AI, predictive data analytics, machine learning are shaping and will continue to shape many parts of our economy. And while these developments, I believe, can increase access, increase choice, and lower costs, they also raise new questions about potential conflicts, biases in the data, and yes, even systemic risk.
I don't know about you guys, but I was surprised that he decided to be like, before we talk about crypto, let's talk about something way more pressing. AI, artificial intelligence. Wow, I mean, our government can hardly wrap its mind around internet technology, let alone Bitcoin, and Gensler proposes to make AI front and center? Yeah, super weird, but what's funny is none of the senators latched onto the AI thing, and honestly it seemed like he threw that in there to take the heat he was going to get off of his horrible performance in the crypto space thus far. Let's move on.
And now for the crypto, because I know that you're all, keenly interested. We just don't have, I believe, enough investor protection in crypto finance, the issuance of these tokens, the trading, and particularly the lending. Frankly, as I've said before, I think it's more like the Wild West. I've asked the SEC staff, working with our fellow regulators, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, the bank regulators, the Treasury as well, using our current authorities, how can we best bring investor protection to these markets?
So Gensler kept his opening remarks about crypto focused on the need for more investor protection. Surprise, surprise. Okay, so after opening remarks, the floor was open for senators to pose questions and concerns to Gensler, starting with Republican Senator Pat Toomey. This is about a 4-minute clip, but they keep the momentum rolling, so hang in there with me as it's a pretty easy dialogue we can all follow. Check it out.
But I think I know your position, among other things, is that not all cryptocurrencies are inherently securities, right? That's true.
There are a small number that aren't, but I think that as Chair Clayton said when he was in front of Congress, I think very many of these facts and circumstances are investment contracts.
So here's my concern. So some are and some aren't is basically what you're saying. And I'm concerned that the SEC has not provided sufficient definition and explained how it would apply the Howey test, which I think is the court standard for determining when something is an investment contract. So for instance, stablecoins do not have an inherent expectation of profit. They're just linked to the dollar. Now you might use them in an attempt to make a profit, but that's a second order activity. Is it your view that stablecoins themselves can be securities?
I think that, Senator, they may well be securities. As Thurgood Marshall wrote in the Reeves opinion, in defining the scope of the market that Congress, wished to regulate, Congress painted a broad brush, and it actually included about 35 different things inside the definition of a security in the 33 Act.
I've just got limited time here, so I acknowledge that. Here's my problem, though. I think what you just said was that they may be securities, or that some are securities. To me, a stablecoin doesn't meet the second prong of the Howey test, that there has to be an expectation of profits from the investment. And so if it doesn't meet the Howey test, it looks to me like it's not a security. Now, maybe you've got a good argument for why some are and some aren't. My whole point is, I think we need to have clarity on this. I think you should publicly disclose this. Apparently, there are private conversations where you work with people who are proposing particular structures and you give them advice, or your staff gives them advice. I just think we ought to have that publicly, and we certainly shouldn't be taking enforcement action against somebody without having first provided that clarity.
Well, Senator, this Congress could change the laws, but the laws that we have right now have a very broad definition of security, including a note, including an investment contract and the like. And my predecessor, Chair Clayton, and others actually put out a lot of guidance with regard to the Howey.
I just got to push back a little bit on that. It is broad, but it's well defined. There is a very specific litany of the instruments that constitute securities. As you know this better than I do. Investment contract is one of them. And there is a court decision that lays out the prongs for what constitutes an investment contract. I'm just saying, as a layman who can read English, when I read those tests, stablecoins don't seem to meet that test to me. Maybe I'm wrong, but if I can misinterpret this, I think others could too, and some clarity, public clarity, I think would be helpful.
I see the red light, but I agree with you that some of these tokens have been deemed to be commodities. Many of them are securities, and the Supreme Court has weighed in a number of times. You noted the Howey test. We've talked about the Reeves test was in the 1990s as well, has weighed in, and I think that there's a fair amount of clarity. Over the years, the SEC has even found, believe it or not, whiskey caskets, and the courts agreed in the 1960s were investments. And I think that at the heart of our securities laws was protecting investors against fraud. They get to decide, they get to take the risk. You'll find I'm not negative or a minimalist about crypto. I just think it would be best if it's inside the investor protection regime that Congress laid out.
So basically, Toomey wants clarity on whether or not stablecoins are securities and thinks that the definition of a security is broad but well defined. He believes stablecoins aren't securities because there is no expectation of profit from them. While Gensler believes that stablecoins could potentially be securities under the broad and quite dated parameters, and basically tries to throw the ball in the Senate's court, saying that he thinks Congress needs to better define parameters that the SEC can work within. Cool. Staying on track by presenting everything in the order it transpired, I just want to throw in this one clip of Republican Senator John Kennedy because it literally made me LOL.
Look, I don't mean any disrespect to you. I followed your career. You've had quite a career in public service. You've made a lot of money on Wall Street. I respect that. I honor that. But as to the people and the companies that you regulate as chairman of the SEC, do you consider yourself to be their daddy?
No.
Then why do you act like it?
I try to take...
Oh my gosh, that just cracked me up. Kennedy launched into how he thinks Gensler is pushing his personal and political agendas with his focus on corporations' disclosures about their impact on climate change and their treatment of workers and employees, which we aren't getting into in this video. Next up, we have super crypto advocate, Republican Senator Cynthia Lummis. Without playing too much of the clip, basically Lummis wants to know why the SEC isn't treating crypto innovation the same way they treat traditional corporations' innovative developments. Particularly, she begs the question why the SEC can't just apply what's known as no action relief to crypto innovators, which basically offers some protections and gives assurances to innovators that fringe into regulatory gray areas. Check it out.
What would you say to innovators who are nervous about approaching the SEC? And how can you improve the use of no action relief in other public statements like 21A reports?
Senator, I thank you for that question, and thank you for our continuing dialogue about innovation. I do think that Congress gave the SEC important authorities, not only to do what you call no action letters, but exemptive authorities and the like. And so I have said, come in, whether it's in the cryptocurrency space or in other innovative spaces, come in, talk to us, and see if our rules for custody, for instance, which I know we've talked about, or transfer agents or something, don't quite fit because they were written in a bricks and mortar time and now we're in a digital time. Let's talk about that. If we need to go to Congress, but maybe we can cobble together something.
Curious, because if we look at a tweet from Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong that was posted just last week, it reads, "In May of this year, I traveled to DC to meet with every regulator and branch of government I could. The SEC was the only regulator that refused to meet with me, saying, 'We're not meeting with any crypto companies.'" This was right after we became the first crypto company to go public in the US. Yeah, come in and talk to us. What a joke. Oh, and let's juxtapose his comment about seeing if innovators in the SEC can cobble together something and work things out. The same tweet from Coinbase CEO further discusses the SEC's response to their new lend feature. They responded by telling us this lend feature is a security. Okay, seems strange. How can lending be a security? So we asked the SEC to help us understand and share their view. We always make an effort to work proactively with regulators and keep an open mind. They refuse to tell us why they think it's a security and instead subpoena a bunch of records from us. We comply. Demand testimony from our employees. We comply. And then tell us they will be suing us if we proceed to launch, with zero explanation as to why. Yeah, and this happened literally within the last week, which is in complete direct opposition of what Gensler just said this past Tuesday. Lame, super lame. Let's watch another 2-minute highlight from Lummis.
And my adjunct question is the general question just about innovation. Do you support responsible innovation?
Oh my gosh, yes. It's brought us these lights in the room. It's brought us this ability to have a hybrid hearing with your fellow members. I mean, innovation is what supports access, economic activity, and gives so much of us better opportunities in life.
So, given that, how do you right-size the protections that are within your ambit to innovation generally?
No, it's an excellent question that I'm sure this committee grapples with decade after decade. I think it's the core public policy framework around ensuring that the public's not defrauded, that somebody's not misleading them and lying to them, to ensure that if you hold somebody's asset, you don't misuse it or abuse it, so to speak, the physical asset. And then on trading platforms, at the heart of our 1934 Act was that competition basically drives to more efficient market, and people don't manipulate that market, don't front run, for instance, in those markets. And I think that these basic tenets of anti-fraud, anti-manipulation, but pro-competition lower the cost of capital for companies raising money and innovators and entrepreneurs, even if they're using, for instance, cryptocurrencies and the like. But I think that inside that policy envelope that we have is a great deal of opportunity. I think it's at the heart of our economic success these last 90 years that we have deeply market-based economy. I said we have the largest capital markets in the world, almost 70% greater than our economic share, 38 points versus 23 points. There's a reason, and I think it helps our economy, but it's also because it's regulated, anti-fraud, anti-manipulation.
Well, first of all, I think it's a bit rich to say we want to make sure businesses aren't using and abusing our assets, when in fact all of the cold hard cash we store in banks for a fee is used and abused to generate profits for banks when they lend it out. How could it be construed as abused? Because since March of 2020, US banks haven't had to hold any reserves to back these loans, which means all of our cash assets in banks are pretty much being gambled. And then it's also rich how he says the US has become the largest capital market only because it's regulated and creates an anti-front-running, anti-fraud, anti-manipulation environment, when nothing could be farther from the truth. Wall Street absolutely commits all of those things all of the time. But it's no surprise Gensler would rather set his sights on crypto than Wall Street, because Gensler comes from Wall Street. He made a ton of money on Wall Street, which begs the question, is Gensler in fact Wall Street's daddy? Let's check out the final clip with Lummis.
So what gaps do you think exist, and what additional regulatory authority would be useful, both at the CFTC and at the SEC, specifically with regard to digital assets?
I think that we have a great deal of authority. I think there's more clarity than some members on this committee. I mean, I know we're maybe a little bit different on that. But I think that in terms of the gaps, we have a great deal of clarity on, I think, what's a security, but the gaps is the coordination amongst our agencies. So, for instance, the coordination with the banking agencies on stable value coins that Senator Toomey raised earlier, the coordination with my sibling agency that I was honored to chair, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, on the tokens themselves and the platforms, because to the extent something is a commodity, even the CFTC doesn't have regulatory authority, they have enforcement authority. A wonderful piece that Dawn Stump wrote recently that I thought was worth reading. But working together with the CFTC and how to coordinate. And then there's some in the, I would say, infrastructure side, things around transfer agents, custody, and the like that I think we could work with Congress to help clarify.
Notice how he flipped the script, saying verbatim, "We have a great deal of clarity on what's a security, but we just need more bureaucratic BS to come together and sort everything out." Awesome. Okay, next up I have a highlight from Republican Senator Mark Warner, where he voices his thoughts and concerns about crypto. He ultimately doesn't ask Gensler for comments on the topic, so let's just listen to this 1-minute clip to gain more insight on the feelings different members of Congress have about crypto.
And as someone who shares some of your concerns about crypto, I will acknowledge that you have only put one wild in front of West as opposed to two wild west. And as somebody who's worked with Senator Toomey and Senator Lummis, I think and somebody who managed to do pretty well financially because of innovation, I'm all in. But we do need some guidance. We do need some direction. This is I would go to the two wilds in terms of the description of this area. As good as some of the innovation is, Senator Lummis, some of the things I see from the Intel side scare the dickens out of me. So we need to figure out a way to, maybe I ought to join the caucus because we got to find a way to come together on this area of innovation, but also area where I can assure you abuse. I will give industry one credit here. When we were going through this definitional process, I heard from more newspapers, newsletters, entities for a group that says they're not very well organized. I've never seen a group that's got as many publications as the crypto world already has.
Nice. So overall, he's requesting what we all are, which is regulatory clarity, so we can take some of the wilds out of the wild, wild west. Moving right along, we have Republican Senator Tom Tillis. In this clip, Tillis brings up a good point about Gensler's attack on the gamification built into user-friendly investment applications like Robinhood and Coinbase and similar. Let's check it out.
But if we go down that path in states like mine that have an education lottery, I think in Maryland you have a similar lottery. If we go down that path and we look at possible restrictions or eliminating gamification in the investment sector, why wouldn't we apply that same logic to lottery systems across the nation or any publicly gamified ventures?
I think what I'm interested in learning, and we just put out a public comment, a request for comment, not even a rule, to ask, could you help us, the public, comment on if a platform is maximizing to revenues by marketing to each of these senators in this room differently, could there be a conflict rather than considering what's best for each of you as in your families for your investment needs? And so it's that these platforms are now optimizing based upon our Fitbit, based upon our mobile apps, based upon how we drive our cars. They're maximizing based upon all this data, and it brings us greater innovation. It's a plus to innovation, a plus to access. It can be a plus to lower cost. What we're just raising is could it be a conflict as well if they're trying to market to everybody differently?
Yeah, it's pretty messed up if you're going to allow gamification in the lottery system where all the money lost pretty much goes to the government under the ruse that it's for education, yet money that isn't going to the government as a result from gamification is a different story. And remember, all of this has to do with restricting retail investment activity. Meanwhile, the lottery, legalized gambling, is allowed to exist. That cons people into basically giving their money freely to the government? Yeah, pretty ridiculous. Next up, we've got crypto skeptic, Democrat, Senator Elizabeth Warren, putting on nothing short of a scripted dialogue between her and her buddy, Gary Gensler. This clip is about 4 minutes, but it's totally worth the watch. Check it out.
So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
we hear a lot about how crypto is all about financial inclusion, a way for people who don't have a lot of money to be able to manage it or invest it. Now, the banks have done a pretty lousy job on financial inclusion, so I want to test out with you whether or not crypto is an improvement. Last Tuesday, the crypto market tanked once again. The prices of Bitcoin and Ether each fell by about 10%, while a bunch of other tokens failed by as much as a third. So in a matter of hours, $400 billion in market value disappeared. Poof, just gone. And meanwhile, several of the biggest crypto exchanges had outages, which kept customers from making withdrawals or trades. So how did that affect people who don't have a lot of money to lose? Chair Gensler, let's say that last Monday, I took out the last sliver of my savings. I went on the crypto exchange Coinbase. I bought $100 worth of Ether. Then I woke up early on Tuesday morning. I saw that the market looked like it was beginning to tank, and I thought, I better sell right now. But when I tried to sell, Coinbase, the exchange, was down. So, Chair Gensler, was there anything I could do to get my money out?
Not at a federal agency because they haven't yet registered with us, even though they have dozens of tokens that may be securities.
Yeah, okay, so that sounds pretty risky to me. But let's say that instead of buying Ether on Coinbase last Monday, I decided instead to put that $100 toward buying a cool new token, let's call it New Coin, that was being hyped on Twitter. Now, New Coin is available only on a quote-unquote decentralized crypto exchange. So to buy it, I had to pay a fee, about $20, to the crypto miners who process the transactions. That's $20 to buy $100 worth of tokens. But I figured that was okay because Twitter told me that New Coin was going to make me a lot of money. But then, of course, I woke up on Tuesday morning and the market was tanking. So let's ask about this one. Chair Gensler, on Tuesday, when I wanted to sell New Coin and get back to dollars fast, that exchange had not shut down. But remember, I had to pay $20 on Monday to get into decentralized finance. So how much would I have had to pay to get out of DeFi on Tuesday to sell my coins? Would I have had to pay a second $20 fee, or might I have had to pay even more?
I don't know because it'd be all in the user agreement. And by the way, you put quotes around DeFi. I think that's helpful because they're really decentralized in name only. There's a user agreement. There's something you're doing with this platform. There's a governance token. There's usually some fees, but I don't know what the particular fees would be.
Well, actually, we do know some of the fees from last Tuesday. The fee to swap between two crypto tokens on the Ethereum network was more than $500. Obviously, way more than the $100 I was trying to trade in the first place. So the question I have is, in the face of these high, unpredictable fees, small investors could easily get jammed and wiped out entirely. Chair Gensler, advocates say crypto markets are all about financial inclusion, but the people who are most economically vulnerable are the ones who are most likely to have to withdraw their money the fastest when the market drops. Does this sound like the path to financial inclusion to you?
It's a highly speculative asset class. It doesn't sound like the path that you mentioned.
Yeah. You know, there are a whole list of problems with crypto. Unreliable tech, scams, devastating climate impact. But high, unpredictable fees can make crypto trading really dangerous for people who aren't rich. Regulators need to step up to address crypto's regulatory gaps and ensure that we're actually building the inclusive financial system that we need. And Chair Gensler, I expect you and the SEC to take a leading role in getting this done.
Yes, Warren is not exactly favored by many in the crypto community. She wasn't wrong about some of the points you made, but the amount of regulation she desires would absolutely stifle innovation in the US, putting us way behind. And Republican Senator Steve Daines agrees in our next highlight. Check it out.
and thank you, Chair Gensler, for being here today. I want to, I think, join my colleagues by expressing my concern with the SEC's posture towards cryptocurrency and blockchain. Keyword here is innovation. As I've said before, I believe a lighter touch regulatory approach is what's called for here, and that over-regulating this young and emerging industry could drive jobs, innovation overseas in the global race, which we should all agree on would be a very bad outcome. America has long led the world in innovation, and we must do our very best to ensure that the conditions continue to exist for America to lead in this space, and especially in the crypto sector. Chair Gensler, you have on multiple occasions asked crypto companies to come in and speak with you. However, many of these companies that have come to speak with you have soon after found themselves the target of enforcement actions or even legal threats. The question is, what's the process for the SEC to provide guidance, and what might companies expect from talking directly with you?
I thank you. I want to say, I think the way we innovate is within public policy frameworks. But we have asked companies to come in, talk to us. If they're trading or lending a security, there's a registration regime. And companies since the 1930s on for 90 years have found ways to innovate but register, or seek an exemption, or seek a no-action letter, and work with us to ensure that they're registered, but there's a public policy framework around that.
So you're drawing lines, though, I think, through public statements without actually going through an APA process. What kind of responsibility do you have to provide clarity to market participants as opposed to really chilling the marketplace through some of these vague speeches, vague remarks, vague interviews?
So I, with all respect, I think that actually the SEC has the authorities that Congress granted to, and it's a very broad definition of security. It includes investment contract, includes note, includes 35 other things. My predecessors put out various guidance, Chair Clayton and so forth put out guidance in this area as well. And so I think come in, talk to us, not you, Senator, but the entrepreneur, and work within an investor protection regime that also facilitates capital formation. I fear if it stays outside this field that I studied for 3.5 years at MIT, I have a belief that this has been a catalyst for change. But I think if it stays outside of the public policy framework for anti-money laundering, tax compliance, investor protection, it's not going to long persist.
Nice. So Daines is advocating for more light regulation of crypto. Bullish. Gensler pretty much reiterated more of the same lies in Runaround he had been the entire 2 hours of testimony. I've got one more clip I found a bit entertaining to share with you before wrapping up. Democrat Senator Catherine Cortez Masto takes the floor.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Chair Gensler, thank you for joining us. Let me jump back to this. Seems to be the topic of conversation with my colleagues, the cryptocurrency. One thing I just want to verify is the SEC sufficiently equipped, whether by regulation or funding, to appropriately ensure compliance and keep pace in the cryptocurrency market? Do you believe so? And if you don't, then what should we be doing in the committee? What do we need to know to help you with?
I think you've raised both points. I think funding-wise, we could use a lot more people. I just have to be frank with you. I mean, there's 6,000 projects, and while some of those are commodities, many of them are securities under the laws, and many of the platforms are. So we could use some more funding. In terms of legislation, I think what I've said earlier in this hearing is the coordination between the market regulators is strong, and Chair Benham and I have been talking through how to do this, but there may be things that Congress can weigh in and help on the coordination, and also around stablecoins, the coordination with the banking regulators. And then there are some things, frankly, a bit in the weeds about transfer agents and custody and the like.
Thank you. And so let me just say, I look forward to working with you on that. Whatever we can do here in the committee to support how we address and look at the cryptocurrencies, please know that you've got support from me.
So Cortez asked Gensler if he has what he needs to do his job. which is getting cracking on regulatory clarity surrounding crypto. And if he doesn't, then to please enlighten Congress so they can try to help. Gensler submits he needs more money, LOL. He needs more workers, needs more bureaucracy, and he needs Congress to make the first move towards clarification in the crypto realm. So take that for whatever it's worth. I personally am not buying it. Nice. So all in all, we have a diverse group of senators with a wide range of attitudes towards cryptocurrency right now. Gensler continues to tout that innovation should happen within public policy frameworks, which is him passing the responsibility to Congress while choosing to regulate through enforcement and litigation, as we've seen with Coinbase, Ripple, and we will likely see more in the future. And of course, he continues to flip-flop, saying we have clarity on what is a security and what is not, while also saying the definition of a security is broad, vague, and should be refined by lawmakers through public policy, red tape, and bureaucratic BS. Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you enjoyed the content, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more crypto content. So what did you think about the crypto highlights from Gensler's testimony before Congress? Which senators did you agree or disagree with? Is Gary Gensler, in fact, Wall Street's daddy? Let me know in the comments below. Be safe out there.